All right, what is good, y'all? Welcome back to Appreciate Greatness. Today, I'm going to be recording the first annual, I don't know why annual popped up, but the first ever Appreciate Greatness podcast. Now, I have some names for this, all right? And I'm going to ask y'all because I'm not sure if you have any names to call this podcast. Go ahead, drop them down below in the comment section. Also, topics, any questions, drop them down below. I'll answer them. I'm going to give y'all a rundown of why I've been gone for a month. I'm going to give y'all the rundown of my plans here in the future for videos and just things like that here in a second. But I'm going to give y'all these names. So, my first name idea I came up with was the Beyond Ball podcast. Now, this is a name where I'm thinking we talk about basketball mainly, and then, like, for the last 10, 15 minutes of the podcast, we can talk about anything beyond ball, right? Then we have the Ballroom podcast, which I really like. I like it a lot, honestly. I want this to be something that is exciting, fun, but also like looks presentable, looks like almost like a TV show. Like if I had an ESPN sports show, what it would look like. And then we have the Appreciate Greatness pod, which obviously comes in last in my personal opinion. I also have my TV going right here, so if y'all see some flashes, that's why. But let's first talk about I was gone for a month again. I've been just dealing with some stuff. I'm trying to decide where to go to college. Um, just different things of I've been watching basketball. I've still been, video planning, watching draft prospects, all that. But that's the reason I was gone a month. And then I just want to talk about this. So right now I'm still rocking the old gaming headset for my microphone, but I did go out and buy a webcam so that I could. Oh man, you probably heard that. So that I could keep my phone on me at all times instead of having to record with my phone, which is nice. And then, so hopefully that looks good. If not, y'all just leave a comment, say, hey, I think you should go back to the phone, whatever. And then, yeah, I kind of like the way this looks. You got, oop, wrong way. You got the shelf right here. Everything's backward. You got the little jersey frame for my, oh my gosh, the jersey frame for um, my high school career over, which is crazy. Going to play D2 basketball, which is sick. Dream of mine, and so that's exciting. Just a lot of exciting things happening in my life. Hopefully, I can take that excitement and put it into this channel. So some of my plans also for this channel in the upcoming future, I tweeted them on Twitter. If y'all don't follow me on Twitter, I think I'll tell y'all the at right now. It's at appreciate with an 8 and then great with an 8 ness. Simple. At appreciate greatness. And then the handle is really appreciate greatness. I've grown into some followers recently. I think I grew like 16 followers really quick. But here are my goals and aspirations. If y'all can, it probably won't focus. Mock draft soon. First ever Appreciate Greatness podcast. That's what we're doing right now. Live stream the draft is a goal of mine. I'm trying to figure it all out with OBS right now. That's what I'm currently recording on. So that's new to me too. I never really thought about recording on OBS, and now I have, and so that you know, draft winners and losers. I'm also probably gonna make a my favorite players out of the draft, but I think I'm gonna hold off this year. Normally, I do it before guys are drafted, and last year I ended up saying I really liked Leonard Miller, I really liked Jalen Hood-Schifino, I really liked Colby Jones, and so I had those three in the video, and to me, those weren't perfect fits for them. Leonard Miller especially, Colby Jones especially, and so I think the to hold off on that until I see fits and I see like I could tell you right now, Khalil Ware is probably one of my favorite guys or is my favorite guy in the draft. Ron Holland I'm really high on. Bub Carrington I'm really high on. But if those guys go to somewhere that they're if Bub Carrington goes to the a guard heavy team, if Bub Carrington goes to the Mavericks, right? He's not going to get to show much. He's behind Jaden Hardy. He's behind Luca. He's behind Kyrie. The fact that I named Jaden Hardy first is crazy, but you see what I'm saying is like I can't just predict who they're going to get drafted to. that's what mock drafts are for, but I don't even do my mock drafts like that. I don't do my mock drafts as predictions. But we'll dive into that when I do my mock draft, which I've been working on, and it is this year, man. It's incredibly deep draft, and that's something that like I've heard over and over and over. This draft sucks. This draft class sucks. Just because there's not a guy who projects to be, the greatest player of all time, doesn't mean that this draft sucks. I think this is a great draft class. I think that 1 through 40, picks 1 through 40 is going to have an impact this year. I really believe that. I don't think there's a guy where I'm like, oh man, he needs some developing and he's going to go really early. Ron Holland, obviously, guy like that needs some developing. But I go through here and I'm like, Ron Holland needs developing. Matas Buzelis needs some developing. But they're going to go to bad teams who can develop. And other than that, like Khalil Ware, I think is going to make an immediate impact. Derek Lively type impact immediately. Devin Carter, Bub Carrington, Tajon Salon even I think is going to be inserted immediately and help a team win. Cody Williams, Jared McCains, AJ Mitchell, Vez Misi, Ryan Dunn I think is going to, obviously Ryan Dunn struggles offensively, but I think he's going to be a very good defensive player, like one of the best defensive players in the league immediately, and he's going to be able to make an impact immediately. And so that's just my take on the draft. But y'all didn't come here for that. The title of this video, I'm thinking, or this podcast, I'm thinking, is going to be probably something about the playoffs. Let me think real quick. The playoffs. The truth about the playoffs. That's what I'll do. The truth about the playoffs. And so I do want to talk a little bit about these teams in the playoffs. And let me find it. So the first round exits I'm talk about first, and then I'll get into all the other teams. But the Heat, they got to figure it out, man. Trade Jimmy. I would trade Jimmy immediately as soon as I possibly could. It's just not working out anymore. Obviously, listen. I'm the biggest Jimmy truther there is. I love Jimmy. I love him as a player. I love him as a dude. Like, he's a funny guy. Really fun to watch off the court. Really fun to watch on the court. He doesn't seem committed. That's the truth of it. Now, he is. I personally can't say that. I have no clue what he does. He could be playing 8 hours of basketball a day. I have no idea. But just all of the things he's done outside of basketball, some of the things he said about basketball. Was it the Knicks? I think it was the Sixers versus the Knicks. He was like, if I was playing them, oh, they'd be done. Or the Pacers or someone, oh, we'd sweep them or something. Whatever that quote was. It was a long time ago. It's been a minute ago. But just things like that from Jimmy, I don't like it in the Heat culture type of setting too. I don't know how they're putting up with something like that. Obviously, he's their best player. Obviously, he led them to two finals appearances. But it's tough for me to be like, hey, keep him and let's just keep building, because they've struggled realistically. Regular seasons, they need to be more serious and try and get a higher seed. Maybe that'll help. I like their core. I like Tyler Hero. I'm up in the air about Tyler Hero, I'd say. Jimmy's awesome. Bam is DPOY worthy, honestly. They haven't had a real serious regular season that he can put out there for the voters to see. And so that's been a problem. I think that the whole undrafted thing, just draft well. If you draft well, they went Jovic. Jovic has developed. They don't have picks. And this is a year where I would love to see them have a pick, because there's going to be a guard who falls. That's just going to happen. A Bub Carrington, a Devin Carter. I think Devin Carter will go early. I think Rob Dillingham might fall. And that's a guy who, you get him in the Heat system, in the Heat culture, get him to defend a little bit. That dude is a star in this league. He's incredible offensively. If he defends a little bit, that's a star, right? And so there's going to be guys falling. And so if they don't trade into the draft or make some type of move, aggressive out there move to add a really, really, really good player, I don't see it. Like, I think they need a 4, unless they expect Jovic to step up and be big time starter and, things like that. I know they got Terry Rozier now. They need a true point guard because Terry Rozier and Tyler Hero to me are the same mold player, just Terry Rozier smaller. Um, it's a weird spot for the Heat, and their future is it looks dim. Tyler Hero obviously, Bam Adebayo obviously, they have both of those guys, but it's to me I don't know where they go, what they do. The next team eliminated by the Thunder was the Pels, and this is a weird one because they have an abnormal amount of talent. They have an abnormal amount of depth, wing depth, defending depth. Trey Murphy needs to be a more of a focal point offensively. He's incredible. Herb Jones was incredible all year, all NBA or all defensive team. CJ McCollum needs to go. Brandon Ingram needs to go. I think you start there. Now, I like BI a lot. I don't like his fit next to Zion, and so you have to choose. I think now is the time where they have to choose, and I like BI. Personally, I like BI more than Zion because he's healthy. He's there every year. He's there. That's not true. He's there more than Zion, right? And so I just think that there's something there's there's something missing with that team. I think they have all the talent in the world, but there's still something that they need. I think true point guard. I was a fan of in 2020. I was a fan of go get Chris Paul. Zion's a Blake Griffin on drugs. I mean, you get Chris Paul to pair with Zion immediately. That team is electric. Instead, they traded for C.J. McCollum. Makes sense. More of a scoring presence, but did you really need that? Because you had Brandon Ingram. Then you draft Trey Murphy. Then you draft Herb Jones. I think Herb was UDFA. And so, you do a great job there, but you got to put it all together. It's all got to fit. And I feel like it's like right about here, and it just keeps doing this. Like Dyson Daniels, drafting Dyson Daniels, 10th, 11th overall. There's just they need something, and they have pieces to make a trade. I would like to see DeJounte. I would like to see BI and Dyson Daniels maybe, or just BI for DeJounte and like AJ Griffin. BI and whatever for DeJounte and blank. Trey. Go ahead and trade BI, Dyson. What other young talent is there? I would stay away from trading Trey. I would stay away from trading Herb. I would say BI and Dyson Daniels. Trade them. Bring in Trae Young. Bring in DeJounte. Bring in something where it's going to fit and it's going to help. I also don't hate the idea of trading BI to a team like the Pacers. Now, I don't know what they're going to bring in. I have no idea. Pacers I'll talk about too later. I don't think they really need to add anything. I think they need health, and they do, but we'll get to them. I'm trying to think of BI destinations. It's just the Pels are in such a weird spot too. Most of these teams are in weird spots, except our next team, the Magic, who 4 seed, I believe, 5 seed. I think they were the 5 seed. Lost to the Cavs. Had a pretty decent series, I'd say. Franz was a guy who I was going to make a video about. And I probably will come this summer. I love him. He's got so many intricacies to his game, like that I see, and like inside hand finishing. He drives to the rim, inside hand, comes and just flicks it up over. It's incredible. The inside hand finishing is awesome from him. Paolo is a star, a superstar at that. Not yet, but soon to be superstar. If he would stop settling as much, he's 6'10", 250, 240, somewhere in there. Get to the rim, punish guys, punish your defender, put him in the basket, man. I would love to see more of that from Paolo. Something I would like to see more of that from Jason Tatum too, which I'll talk about him later. I'll go on a rant about him. But I love the Magic. They need a true point guard. Trae Young's there, and this was a team who was really good defensively. If you listen, I love the idea of Trae Young, Anthony Black, put him at the 2. That's an incredible secondary playmaker, first of all. Second of all, Anthony Black's a really good defender. You have Gary Harris still, great catch and shoot guy, great 3-and-D guy, great defender, started a lot of the games, started a lot of playoff games. So, to me, you trade for Trae Young, whatever it takes to get him. Probably probably Cole Anthony. It probably would take Anthony Black, so there goes that. Some form of those players. You probably have to trade Jet Howard, who I'm not super high on, but he's a good shooter. I don't know if the Hawks would be interested in that in Jet Howard because they have a guy like AJ Griffin. They have Sadiq Bey, who's they're gonna have to decide on what are they gonna do with him. Hawks are in a weird spot. That's a team, man. I could talk about them for hours and trade possibilities and they need to do this, they need to do that. Clint Capella needs to go, Dejounte needs to go, Trey needs to go. They're getting the number one pick. Like there's so much there. But if I'm the Magic, I'm targeting a Trey Young. I'm targeting maybe even a Josh Giddey type player where I think your defense is good enough to where you can bring in an offensive or a defensive liability and be able to hold strong even if they're not the greatest defenders because of what they're adding offensively. A guy like Chris Paul, even a veteran, just point guard playmaker who can kind of mentor guys to be like, and if Chris Paul mentored Anthony Black, man, Anthony Black, I think he's a breakout prospect in 2 years where he's going to be a great point guard in the league. There's no doubt in my mind. He shot the ball really well. It was on a low clip. Let me pull this up. I think it was 40% from three this year, which is incredible. 39.4%. He played 69 games, 16 minutes a game. That's to me, that's way above what I expected. I expected 32, 33% from him. So obviously he didn't shoot many, but if he continues to improve his three-point shot, he continues to play make the way he can, rebound. He just does it. He does a little bit of everything on the court. He's a great defender. I love Anthony Black. I love the Magic team. Maybe even get a real center. Maybe Jarrett Allen, pairing Jarrett Allen with a guy like Zion or like Paolo, excuse me. I just saw the Pels on my screen. I think there's an endless amount of opportunities for them and chances and situations that they could end up in, and I love them all. I don't think you can really screw up if you're the Magic right now. Just be aggressive in some way, and I think you're going to improve a lot. The next team is the Clippers, and it's blow it up. I saw today they're struggling with Paul George and contract negotiations, which is insane. I don't know what else to say. That's just figure it out or trade him. And I think I saw another tweet that said Sam Presti could do the funniest thing, and it would be hilarious if Sam Presti somehow brought in Paul George. I don't think they need that now. Another wing would be awesome. Another 3-and-D wing for them would be incredible. But they need a rebounder. I saw their interest in Hartenstein. We'll talk about them later. The Clippers, Kawhi, Paul George, just never being healthy. It sucks. I don't know if they're going to let Westbrook walk. I don't know what Harden's going to want if Paul George leaves. It's just such a weird phenomenon. It's such a weird situation out there that, like, what do you do if you lose one of these guys and then the other one's out? You got to rebuild, right? You got to trade everyone? Or do you just say, hey, we have enough talent that if Paul George leaves, we still have James, maybe you still have Russ. If I would re-sign Russ in a heartbeat. That's a guy who you can't just bring in another guy and replace what Russ brings. Obviously, offensively, he's not great, but the energy, the effort, the way that the team like follows him, I think he gets in games and it's just energy. It's immediate energy, and then the team plays with that energy. And so Russ is a guy you can't replace with just one guy. So I would bring him back. If you lose PG, it's James, Norman Powell, Kawhi, a four-man, and Ivica Zubac. And so if you lose Paul George, it's not the end of the world. You can figure that out. And even I would say sign and trade Paul George, bring back Tobias, bring him back to LA and see as a true second option what can he be. And I mean, he'd be a scoring second option, I'd say, because you have James, who's more of a playmaker. Norman Powell, I would not call you a second option in that scenario. I would say Tobias Harris as a scorer is your second option there. I'm just throwing hypotheticals everywhere, but those are some things that I could see happening. Now the Bucks, give it another year. Just give it another year. We're seeing a lot of stuff about Dame not working out, whatever. Doc Rivers always does this where he throws players under the bus. I would not have. I don't know. It was so weird. I think they're bringing in Marvin Ham, Darvin Ham to help coach. Whatever. Who cares? I think that's actually a really great hire. Doc Rivers doesn't have a great track history, and when he did win it, it was with a loaded roster. Um, Giannis is elite still, um, but it's just you need some type of defender. You traded Drew Holiday, excuse me. It makes no sense that it. Oh, I don't understand. I don't understand what they were thinking when they were like, "Hey, let's trade Drew and expect him not to get picked up by another team," right? Like some contender was going to get Drew. There was no doubt in anyone's mind about that. And you basically just traded him to your biggest competitor in the East. And so I don't know what they could do. If I'm being completely honest, I have no idea. I don't know what their future looks like. I don't know any of that. But right now, they have to find a way to find a two-man who can defend and shoot a three, and you just gotta hope and pray that Dame comes back with a vengeance and is better than what he was this year. And Giannis is gonna be Giannis. All right, next team is the Suns. Now, we'll do a pause right now. Um, Normally when I'm doing these type of videos, I would cut a lot out because I'm just rambling, but podcast, so rambles are good. If y'all have anything, any advice, any ways you would change anything, let me know. We'll get back into it. The Phoenix Suns. Me personally, if I was in charge of the Phoenix Suns, I would trade everyone. I would trade KD to the Thunder. I would get as much back as I possibly can from them because they have loads of first round picks. I would trade. You can't get anything for Nurkic. I would trade Book. I would trade Beal. You're not going to get much for Beal. You're going to get a lot from Book. And I don't know who would be interested in Book because I don't think that's really something they're thinking of. Now, could you trade KD and say, hey, Beal and Book are our guys. We are just going to bring some people in. We're going to bring a lot of picks in. And we're going to figure out from there. We'll trade those picks wherever, do whatever. You could. I wouldn't. I would personally try and trade everyone. And I would see who wants to take Beal, who wants to take Book, and just get the contracts off, get all the picks, restart, reload. That's what I would personally do. They're not going to. They might trade KD. They probably won't. They're probably going to run it back with different role players, different role pieces, and they're in they're in a bad spot. They're in purgatory. It's not good to be a Suns fan right now. It's not good to be a Suns player. Now I will say they fight this year. I think they need some way to run more actions with KD involved. This year they're playing the Timberwolves. Karl Anthony Towns is guarding Kevin Durant. That is a mismatch. But they're attacking it with ISOs. Why not run some off-ball screens, get Cat tired, make Cat have to run off? Like, you're setting a screen on a big man. They cannot defend off screens. So you have KD come off a pin down every possession. Have a pin down for KD to run off of. That was one of my biggest complaints. Why aren't you setting a pin down for KD every single time? If you want him to ISO damn near every time, he's posting up a lot. Have him come off a pin down then. Have him run from the corner, almost a flex action. If you want him to post up on that block, run a flex. Run a flex cut. From say we're trying to get him a post up on the right block, let's get him in the corner and flex cut, screen from Nurk. Okay, maybe they switch now. Maybe it's Gobert. Well, same mismatch. Or and if they don't, then you're having KD come off that. Cat's trying to get around a screen. It's Karl Anthony Towns. And so now KD's catching, and he's probably getting a layup the first time. He's catching, he's facing up, he's making a move. Cat had to run all the way over here. And now obviously Cat would be in some sort of help, but still, Okay, I had to come off the screen, get back into defensive position. So if KD's facing up, he's jab, one dribble shot, maybe rip through layup. Like there's endless possibilities with that. And if he wants a mid post ISO, he just runs up a little more. And if he wants a wing ISO, start him on the right block. Let's say right wing again. Start him on the right block. Someone pin down screen. Come up. That's all it takes. I just don't understand why they ran no actions. They just kind of gave them the ball and said go to work. In the NBA, that's not going to work. That's the story. And obviously, Jaden McDaniels was fantastic. Anthony Edwards was fantastic in that series. It's just I hate the Suns. I hate the structure of their team. I hate the idea of we need to get 3 all-stars in the form of big 3. The big 3 doesn't work. I think we've seen it enough. It doesn't work, especially unhealthy big 3. Now, do I think Kyrie, Harden, and KD win a championship if they're healthy? Absolutely. They just never played together. They were all injured. Do I think that the Harden, Kawhi, Paul George could have won a championship? Maybe. If they were all healthy, if they could stay healthy. Do I think Chris Paul, Book, and KD could have worked? Maybe. But it didn't. We haven't seen it work in a while. Now the Celtics have a big 10, a big 8, big 6. I mean they got 6 all-star, not all-star. They have 6 incredible pieces. Derek White's a borderline all-star just from being a role player. Al Horford's the best 6-man in the league, realistically, if we're being real. I mean, he plays his role perfectly. So that to me is just like, why are we still trying to build big 3s? Because it's not going to work. I look at the Mavericks. They have 2 absolute stars and perfect role players around them. The Celtics, obviously a loaded team. The Timberwolves, maybe they have a big 3. You could say a big 3, but is Rudy Gobert really a part of that big 3? Is Jaden McDaniels really a part of that big 3? Is it really a big 3? I would say it's a big 2 and role players around. Thunder, is it a big 3? Shea, Chet, J-Dub? Not really. I wouldn't say it's a big 3. I would say it's Shea and then great role players. Obviously young. It might turn into a big 3. Just a homegrown big 3, which works much better than trading for all that talent. But that's just my opinion. Obviously it doesn't matter. Moving on, the 76ers. I'm not talking at all about the playoffs. I'm talking about what these teams should do, which is, not what I said here to do, but the 76ers. They are actually set up for a pretty good offseason. They have money. Now, I've seen, we want to get Paul George. We've talked about LeBron. Like, all of these things don't. Just, you have Maxey. He performed in the playoffs. Embiid is your guy. If that's your guy, get role players, build around them. Excuse me. All right, we're back. If those 2 are your guys, build around them. Don't try to build a big 3. Just build around them. Find pieces. Find those high-end role players. I don't really know what free agency looks like, but I think, or you can make trades for high-end role players. I think Malcolm Brogdon's are out there. Jeremy Grant's are out there. I would rather see them do something like that than get a Paul George. Now, Paul George is kind of that perfect star where he's a great defender. I would say he's a good defender. I don't like putting the great title on him anymore. He's not. I don't see him as great on the Clippers. I see him as good. Now, he could go to the 76ers, be a great defender. You never know. But that's just my opinion, obviously. The Lakers are in purgatory also. I have no idea what they should do. They've played the Nuggets just about as well as anyone. Realistically, they just can't finish those games when they get there. And I don't know. LeBron's going to retire soon. You're going to be stuck in just a weird spot. And I don't know. They'll figure something out. They'll get something that I'll like. And it'll just end up in a second round exit next year. That's a reality situation. I'm trying to go faster with this. The Cavs, I don't think you trade anyone, personally. I would find a wing that fits perfectly and then move from there. I think you're going to get a jump from Darius. I think Dono Kind of likes Cleveland, but um, I don't know what you do with him. He's probably gonna walk once his contract's up, so you might want to trade him. It's a weird spot for the Cavs, but I really like them. Then we're at the Thunder. The Thunder just keep everyone. You're gonna draft. They're gonna draft well. They always do. Who knows who they drafted? They draft Khalil Ware. I'll be all in on that. The Nuggets. Honestly, if I'm the Nuggets, I'm not panicking at all. I'm not worried at all. I really like my team. I really like how we performed against the T Wolves. I think that they just kind of were built to beat us. They were built to be the Nugget stoppers. But obviously, they're not the best team in the West. They're not the best team in the league. So obviously, we're still doing something right. I would say Yoke, Jamal, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter is a perfect. KCP is a perfect core. Now just find those bench pieces again. Find one more bench piece, and they've drafted well. Julian Strouder, I think, is going to be good next year. Christian Brown will probably take a step. The step that we expected him to take this year, I think he'll take that step. They might trade back for Bruce Brown, who knows? Peyton Watson's going to take a step, and they're going to draft well. So, not too worried about the Nuggets. The Knicks, also not too worried about they need health. The Pacers are in a weird spot because Andrew Nembhard is up for an extension, a, a massive extension too, a lucrative deal. I don't think it's massive. Hold on, I need to check that. I think it's like 17 million. So I lied. Siakam, did they? I think they extended Siakam, right? Or am I tripping? I think they extended Siakam. And so now it's like if you pay Nembhard, who had a great playoffs, if you pay Nembhard, what's going to happen with Ben Mathurin? What's going to happen? There's another guy I'm thinking of, Obi Toppin. What's going to happen with those guys? Where now we got to pay those two, and they're pretty big parts of our team, but we just can't. So it's interesting spot for the Pacers. I think they need one more piece, and they're perfect. Tyrese Halliburton has to play some defense, and then they're perfect. That's my take. The Wolves, just run it back. Run it back. See what you do. See what happens. If you can't make more noise than you did this year, end it. Cut it off. But I like what they're doing. The Celtics, perfect team. They're about to win the finals. Run it back. Run it back. I think they're good to run it back too, because Porzingis. I didn't even mention Porzingis. Like, he's been hurt, and he had 20 and 21 minutes, but he's been hurt, and so you haven't even seen him really. Like, to me, that's just, they're incredible, and I think they have all their guys back next year on contract, except maybe Derek White or Drew Holiday, one of those two. I think they have Drew back, maybe Derek White. I'm not sure. I'm not completely sure. And then you have the Mavs, who, I don't know, Luka, man. This is another guy I want to talk about. He's the offense, right? He's awesome offensively. Defensively, it's been bad, and there's been I watched him in the bubble today. I went back, I saw a clip on Twitter, and I went back and watched it while I was waiting for the game to come on. And that game in the bubble, or that series in the bubble, I watched 2 games today. He was fantastic. He was incredible. He was in shape. He was beating people up the court. Like, he was outrunning guys. There was a play where he outran Paul George, hit it was a nasty ass, like, one leg off back. It was disgusting. And I was like, man, is the post game worth that? Like, I think that's why he put on the weight, just to be a post player. But is it worth that? I don't think so. I think he was much more in shape. I think he was much more ready for NBA playoff basketball. And now he's just kind of, it's not a good spot that he's in right now. Now, can that be fixed in the offseason? Yeah, absolutely. But will it? I don't know. And that's a problem with Luka, is defensively he was engaged tonight, and that's why they won. It's not the only reason, but it's a big reason. He wasn't getting driven by it every single play, and the Celtics weren't driving and kicking every single. Now it happened a lot still, but it was better. And so maybe he just needs to be more engaged, which to me, you're down 3-0. Why did it take you being down 3-0 instead of 2-0 or 1-0? Or it's the NBA Finals. Like, this is the time. That's what I don't understand the most. Now, every series that's gone up, his drive-by percentages have gone up, so maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just fatigue. And if so, you got to get in better shape. That's my Luka take. Um, the last thing I want to talk about, this has gone on for 35 minutes, so I'm proud of that. I didn't think I was going to last that long, so I'm proud of that. Is just the 2024 NBA playoffs. This is the truth. I really enjoyed the first couple rounds. I really enjoyed the storylines. I think there's a lot of storylines. Injuries suck. That's one of them. But I think there were upsets. I think there were surprises. But when those upsets happened, it wasn't really interesting. It wasn't like a 7-game series where an upset happened. It was kind of, like the Bucks series, the Bucks Pacers upset. Technically an upset, but Giannis got hurt. So is it really? The Knicks lost their whole team and lost to the Pacers. Now the Pacers went on an incredible run. They were fun to watch. They gave the Celtics hell defensively. The Celtics struggled to guard them. I mean, they gave them hell. They were running up and down the court, just making plays. And half court, it was awesome. They played awesome, and they did a lot of it without Tyrese. So, I mean, it was a fun playoffs, but it hasn't been good. That's just the finals is the thing that has to top it off. Like, it has to be. The finals is what makes the playoffs, right? And this year's finals has just been bad. It's just not been fun. I got the Dirk shirt on, by the way. Shout out Dirk. I don't think I mentioned that earlier. But yeah, that's my take on the playoffs. Man, that was messy. This was a messy first episode, but I hope y'all enjoyed. There will be more, and I'll get better, and it'll look better, and everything will be better. That is a promise. So I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, subscribe. Mock draft coming out soon. Hopefully the live stream of the draft is coming out soon. I'm going to try and figure out a way to get this onto Spotify. I don't think I can. I don't think I have I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. All right. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, subscribe. Tune in for all the draft stuff. Tune in for some free agency stuff, and then the random videos I make. Yeah. Peace.